This is Win Television, a member of the 9 Network.
Tonight, television history made with the launch of aggregation into Canberra. Leading Democrat Senator Norm Sanders to stand for the ACT. And in sport, the Canberra Raiders confident of opening their account this weekend for the 1989 season. Good evening and welcome. Television history was made last night when Win Television was introduced to the Canberra region at a star-spangled showbiz launch at the Lakeside Hotel. The glamorous introduction was the culmination of years of hard work by Win TV to bring its services to the Canberra region. More than 450 people were at the glittering launch of Win Television last night, including some of Australia's best-known television personalities who will now be featuring on Canberra's TV screens. Amongst those attending the Win launch were many of Canberra's community and business leaders. The launch was pure showbiz, with the invited guests entertained for 4 hours in the lead-up to the midnight launch of Win. Amongst the top lineup of entertainers was one of Australia's leading performers, Jackie Love. At the stroke of midnight, the Canberra region was introduced to Win by Bruce Gyngell, who first introduced Australia to television in 1956. Following this, Win Television broadcast live the music program MTV from Juliana's nightclub at the Lakeside. For Win TV, last night's launch was a long-awaited moment, and one which Win chairman Bruce Gordon says will benefit the region.
Well, we're going to be bringing them all the shows that they've been missing lately, plus a whole lot more shows. It means they're going to have not only Win, of course, but they'll have 3 television stations to choose from, but they're going to get a much greater choice of their programming, and we think it's going to give people the kind of television that they've been missing for the last 27 years.
Also amongst the guests at the launch was American film and TV star Peter Graves, who was presented with an award for his long association with Australian TV, and in honour of his role in the new Australian-made series Mission Impossible, which is the first Australian series sold to a giant US television network.
I promise you I'm happier than Dustin Hoffman tonight.
Earlier in the week, Prime Minister Hawke visited Win Studios in Kingston, where he met station management and welcomed Win into the Canberra market.
I welcome what we are witnessing now, and I welcome it from the point of view of the viewers of this area, because you are the forerunners of an historic change in government policy, which has meant the bringing to fruition of our dream that non-metropolitan Australians in Eastern Australia should have the same range of choice and opportunity and equality that the people in the capital cities have. I welcome Win as one of those who are going to make this system work for the benefit of viewers. You are now going to have the same range of choice as people in the capital cities. That's as it should be.
Democrat Senator Norm Sanders claims he'll maintain his battles.
Therapy yesterday in the decompression chamber at the Prince Henry Hospital.
We give them 100% oxygen under pressure, and that dissipates most of the gas. With
Senate seat in the next election after becoming disillusioned in Tasmania.
Senator Sanders says he doesn't want to represent Tasmania after the next election.
I find Tasmania simply too depressing anymore. It's suffered so much from successive state governments.
He claims he'll still be working for Tasmania at a federal level, but living in the ACT will make his battles easier.
Unlike most Canberra politicians, I like the ACT. I spend a lot of time here. I'm the spokesperson for the ACT. I appreciate the ACT. The ACT has environmental problems as well. One of the biggest ones is to keep the developers away from Lake Burley-Griffin's foreshores.
The senator says his major concern now is to stay ahead of Liberal ACT Senator Margaret Reid at the next election. Kathy Swan, Win News.
And in an item just to hand, the Australian Electoral Commission has endorsed calls for the ACT election to be investigated by a federal parliamentary committee. Federal and local politicians have criticised the length of time it's taking to announce the election result. Electoral Commissioner Dr. Colin Hughes says he wants the inquiry to go ahead and prove the vote count could not be conducted any faster. Dr. Hughes has blamed the complicated DONT system for the delay. The Australian Federal Police Association says it doesn't know how long it can hold off strike action by angry members. Although Canberra Police have voted not to strike, industrial action over the current funding crisis began today with no on-the-spot fines being issued in the ACT.
Thousands of Canberra motorists who would normally receive on-the-spot fines now face the possibility of going to court for traffic offences. The AFPA says industrial action will be extended over the next few weeks, possibly involving the withdrawal of police security from airports. This action's the result of cutbacks to overtime and penalty rates, which the association says has reduced the AFP to an office hours force. 153 Canberra police voted last night not to strike, but pressure is mounting from the association's South Australian and Victorian branch.
We have instructed that branch that it would not be appropriate at this time to take strike action, but again, it is showing the level of our members' concern for what is happening to policing in the AFP.
The $2.2 million budget blowout was caused in part by the expensive investigation into the murder of Assistant Commissioner Colin Winchester. Justice Minister Senator Michael Tate has said he'll look at the possibility of a more flexible budget in future, but Shadow Justice Minister Senator Robert Hill says that doesn't solve the immediate funding crisis, and he's going to step up pressure on the government next week in the Senate. Cyndon Lester, Win News.
Australian Public Service Association Secretary Kath Garvin has hit out over the proposed amalgamation of her union, the ABC Staff Union and the Australian Clerical Officers Association. Ballot papers were distributed today to the 19,000 public service union members in Canberra, with the outcome of the poll expected by the end of April.
APSA, ABC Staff Union and the ACOA have all backed the proposal to amalgamate. From a union view, APSA Secretary Kath Garvin says she's forced to come out in favour of the amalgamation. However, on a personal basis, she says it's a definite step in the wrong direction.
Primarily, it's because I don't think APSA members are going to get a good deal out of the amalgamation. Certainly the proposals aren't geared to lower paid workers, and also I believe there will be a strong conflict of interest between the interests of lower paid workers and our members and those of the higher paid clerks and ABC Staff Union employees.
ACOA Branch Secretary Winsome Hall says the amalgamation would mean a closer scrutiny of individual cases.
We'll be able to address individual concerns more easily, but certainly the broader concerns that we have about the threats facing the public sector, the staff cuts that we have.
Ms Garvin sees no advantages in the proposed amalgamation, and should a no vote be returned with objections made, it may not be until later in the year before public service unions know exactly where they stand. Phil Small, Win News.
And still to come in Win News, the old Parliament House may once again play an important role in Australian politics. The Canberra construction industry facing an employment crisis.
Everything's okay, we can see a future ahead now. St. George can show us the way, and we know that they will help us, even on a rainy day. 'Cause you got to have friends. It's good to feel that bond at St. George. You've got friends. With us you can't go wrong. You've got to have
What a great idea, St. George.
Tell all my intimate secrets? No. Just a hat and a smile won't give you that style. Great looks start with Cross Your Heart from Playtex, where beautiful new ideas take shape. That crisscross design makes you look fine. Great looks start with Cross Your Heart from Playtex, where beautiful new ideas take shape.
Can you smell that freshness in the air? Wonderful. Do you know what it is? I do. She's using Huggy fabric softener. It gives her whole wash that fresh, huggy touch. And there's 3 Huggies: original, lavender and lemon. So, If you want that special freshness, you know what to do.
Fresh soft Huggy at an unbearably good price.
Welcome back. The nation's old Parliament House could be set for a bright new future if a proposal by ACT Senator Bob McMullen receives government approval. The Senator has written to Arts and Territories Minister Clyde Holding outlining a proposal to develop the house into a major educational and tourist attraction.
Senator McMullen has written to Arts and Territories Minister Clyde Holding with a three-tier proposal for the use of the old Parliament House. The ACT Senator would like to see Australia's first national parliament predominantly used as a museum of Australian government. His proposal also recommends it be used as a political education centre and tourist attraction featuring restaurants and shops.
Preserve the history and to show people the fantastic contribution it's made to the development of Australia.
Senator McMullen's $20 million proposal is similar to a draft proposal from the Arts and Territories Minister and Administrative Services Minister, which was recently leaked to the press. As a result, he's confident of gaining support from them for his own proposal. Senator McMullen says he's also receiving strong support from fellow ALP parliamentarians.
Well, many of my caucus colleagues support the idea that the building must be used. I mean, it is a wonderful part of our heritage and it's just sitting there slowly deteriorating, and that can't be allowed to happen. And it's also a potential tourist resource that shouldn't be wasted.
The future of Senator McMullen's proposal rests with Treasury. It won't be till August when the budget's brought down till we know whether Parliament House will become a monument to Australia's political past. Anthony Flannery, Win News.
More than 1,000 Canberra building workers will lose their jobs over the next few months. The ACT construction industry is experiencing a major recession as the last major building sites are being completed.
2 years ago, Canberra experienced a boom in its construction industry. There were 12,000 jobs for workers. There are now a little over 9,000 building workers in the ACT. Many of them could be out of work by the end of the year unless more major construction started very soon.
The two biggest jobs in Canberra, which is the Canberra Centre and the Convention Centre, are both about to wind up in the next few months, and that will leave thousands of building workers without work.
The building industry is a major employer of Canberra youth. Youth unemployment figures are on the increase. The latest figures show an increase of 800 since the end of the '86 boom. For many workers, the only solution is to go where the work is.
At the moment, there's 430 men working on this job, with 15 being put off a week, which most of them are leaving and going to Sydney to find alternate work.
But still, the applications keep flooding in. Since the beginning of construction of the Canberra Centre in May last year, they've received over 500 off-the-street applications. Only 21 have been able to be employed. Keith Lyon of the Office of Industry and Development says that the Canberra economy can only sustain around 8,000 workers. He also says that whilst there are a lot of building projects on the drawing board, nothing can be started until we get local government. But it's still a few months away, which could mean there'll be no new projects starting until next year. Peter Berry wants to see projects like the Canberra Casino, the museum and the refurbishment of Royal Canberra Hospital go ahead straight away. Until the new ACT Assembly gives the go-ahead for more major construction, the future for Canberra's building workers looks very grim. Darren Curnow, Win News.
The local Catholic Church is having major financial problems as a result of last year's $3.2 million budget blowout. There could be a large shortage of Catholic school places in Canberra if enough money isn't received from the public.
The Catholic Church is asking Canberrans to dig deep and invest in the Catholic Church Development Fund. The fund lends money to build new schools and churches. The Catholic Education Office says there aren't enough places in Canberra schools to meet demand, and new schools need to be built. However, they don't have enough money as a result of last year's budget blowout. $3.2 million was overspent because of a miscalculation in teacher wages. The Education Office says it will cost the new ACT government $15 million to replace a new Catholic school, which was to be built at Isabella Plains.
The effect that decision will have on the ACT will be enormous, because we would expect about 1,000 students at that school. If we did not go ahead with that school, it will cost the new ACT government $3 to $4 million per year.
The recommendations of the committee reviewing the Archdiocesan Catholic education system will be considered at a meeting in the next few weeks. However, the Archbishop says he won't release the committee's findings as he's acting on legal advice. Darren Curnow, Win News.
Doctors in Cooma are concerned about cutbacks to the Cooma Hospital and area health services. The cutbacks have had to be made to keep the hospital's budget in line with state government budget cuts.
With the state government presently coming down hard on hospitals which do not stay within budget, Cooma Hospital Board had to make cutbacks. Areas affected included emergency, casualty and surgery, and there's a freeze on staff replacement. Cooma Dr Andrew Egan says he's concerned about the cutbacks.
We felt that the community should be made aware of what the problems are at the moment. There's been very little said because most people who work for the hospital cannot speak out because the government has requested that. But as doctors, we're independent of the hospital and we can talk about the problems without fear of any sort of retribution.
The doctors are concerned about what will happen when the snow season starts and Cooma Hospital's facilities are overtaxed.
If Cooma Hospital wasn't there, then the fact that adequate treatment being 3 hours away in certain cases, that could have made the difference between life and death.
The doctors believe Cooma deserves consideration because of the large number of visitors to the area.
Cooma Hospital sees more trauma cases per year than any other hospital in country New South Wales that doesn't have residents.
For residents, there'll be longer waiting lists and a reduction of services. For skiers, there may be an ambulance ride to Canberra for treatment.
The Queanbeyan and Orange Hospital boards have been sacked, so it's understandable that the Cooma Hospital Board has declined to make any comment. The board has made the cutbacks the government requested, but with 3 million visitors to Cooma during the snow season, the result of these cutbacks is yet to be felt. Casterly Spurgeon, Win News.
Now with details in sports, Simon Brady. And Simon, how do you think the Raiders are going to go on Sunday?
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Well, the Raiders are still looking for their first win of the season. We'll take a look at that after the break. And also the Cannons return to the Palace tomorrow night.
Once in a while, you come across a song that says it all. We've chosen 18 classics from 2 decades and brought you the greatest love. With Air Supply, Eagles, Rita Coolidge, Australian Crawl, America, Olivia Newton-John, The Greatest Love. Songs we've grown up with, fallen in love with. Bee Gees, Janice Ian, Howard Jones, Anne Murray and more. The Greatest Love. 18 unforgettable hits from 18 original artists on record, cassette and compact disc.
Out now from Dino Music.
Some kids still don't know what salt does to you, not to mention sugar. But if you want a great tasting snack that's actually good for you, attack an apple.
What's the matter, mate?
That cable's broke.
Leave it to me. And they thought they'd be stuck there all day.
Nissan Patrol with Nissan's exclusive 2-year warranty.
The best four-wheel drive down under.
Unbelievable.
That's right. Nissan Patrol's a true champion. It's Australia's top-selling four-wheel drive wagon. And Patrol Hardtop is the winner of 4x4 Australia magazine's prestigious Gold Award. Drive the winner at your local Nissan dealer. That's Nissan know-how.
The Canberra Raiders will be trying to gain their first competition points when they take on East this weekend in the Winfield Cup. The Raiders will be keen to rub out the memory of the 2 disappointing losses they suffered so far this season.
Coach Tim Sheens has made a number of changes for the match as he tries to find the right combination. Ricky Stewart has moved to half, Laurie Daly is back in the centres and will be partnered by Ivan Henjak, Kevin Walters has gone to fullback and Phil Carey comes in on the wing. Stewart believes the backline changes will provide the formula for success.
I would try and match them in the forwards, but I think our backline with Laurie Daly and Ivan in the centres this week is going to give us a lot of direction. And with Laurie coming back after 1 game last week, he's going to be playing better, so hopefully we can beat them in the backs as well.
East have made a flying start to the season with 2 good wins, but Sheen says if his side sticks to the basics, they'll win.
Well, the main thing at the moment is just to build the confidence in the place, and that I think is evident even here at training that there's plenty of spirit and confidence in the place. But the main thing is to settle down and don't panic, and certainly that's got to be reflected in our play. We're not to panic; we're just to play steady football, and it'll come for us.
The Canberra Cannons will make their first appearance for the year at the Palace tomorrow night when they take on the Brisbane Bullets. The match is a benefit for former players Jerry Lee, Dave Nelson and Gary Ball, who are all members of the 1983, 84 and 88 championship sides. Cannons coach Steve Breeney will use the game as a warm-up for the first round of the pre-season basketball classic next Wednesday. There'll also be a special ceremony when Herb McEachin will swear an affirmation of allegiance and be conferred with his Australian citizenship. In soccer, Canberra Croatia will be out to make amends for last week's shock loss to Avala when they take on Sutherland on Sunday in the third round of the New South Wales League. Coach Jimmy Shoulder says the team has trained well this week and is confident of a return to form which carried it to 5 wins in a row before the loss to Avala. Meantime, Inter Monero will play Rockdale this weekend at the Marco Polo ground in Queanbeyan as they try to gain their first win of the season. A local Australian rules kicks off in Canberra tonight with the opening pre-season match at Football Park between last year's grand finalists Queanbeyan and Ainslie. The pre-season competition is taking a different format this year, with one grade comprising senior and reserve grade players and the other made up from under-19 players. Some of the rules will be different, with 20-minute quarters, shorter breaks and no time on. ACTAFL General Manager Dick O'Neill says the format should prove to be popular with players and spectators.
And rather than being a conventional premiership, it will be a club championship. So, you know, a grand final in the last Sunday in April, the 2 clubs who finish up on top of that club championship will be playing off in the double header on that day.
The ACT hockey side is winding up its preparation for the National Championships in Adelaide next month. The team has set its goal to improve on last year's 5th place at the national titles. The squad is a mix of players with state, national and international experience and younger players who've shown great potential in the local competition. Coach Ray Dorset has set the side a target of gaining 8 or 9 points at the championships, which he believes will put the team in 3rd or 4th place. He says the squad is capable of matching the teams from all states.
Really good. I would say the guys at this stage of the season are 20-30% fitter than they were last year, and also when we were in Brisbane in '88, we were probably in the top 2 sides fitness-wise. I reckon we'll be the #1 fitness side there.
One player the team will look to will be captain and Australian representative Andrew Dean, who in the past couple of seasons has established himself as a regular in the national squad. But Dean doesn't see the added responsibility as a problem.
You're obviously expected to perform every game, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think to have that pressure on you is good because it does make you perform.
The squad will go to Adelaide on April the 9th for 2 weeks of competition. Racing tomorrow is at Canberra with the 6-event program. The feature race will be the Win TV Flying Handicap, which has attracted a top-class field. Phil Small has this preview of the race.
The Win Flying originally attracted a quality field, but today lost 2 of its more fancied runners. The Keith Dryden-trained Tumble On and Ken Callahan's Hot Zephyr topped the weights with 65 and 59.5 kilos respectively. But both stables were dissatisfied and decided to take their gallopers to Sydney to run in the Bradshaw Hallmark Stakes. Callahan says Hot Zephyr's main worry will be the weather.
Now it's rained here, the track will be too wet. He doesn't like the wet at all.
Tumble On has failed in his last 2 starts, but the Dryden stable is disappointed with the current handicapping of horses in the local area, sentiments echoed by Callahan.
It's a big weight to lump around here all the time. They sort of weight these horses out of the country areas. It's a shame because they draw a good crowd of the king of the races with good horses. Good horses like Hot Zephyr, Tumble On.
Win Television was to have sponsored the meeting, but because of the wet weather, all activities and functions set down for the day have been postponed. Phil Small, Win Sport.
And our bookmaker's best for tomorrow's Canberra races comes from Clem Hinksman. He makes his selection in the Win Flying Handicap and fancies number 4, Loose Blue. And that's the sport, Peter.
Thanks, Simon. All being well, we'll see you at the races tomorrow.
Sure.
Might even back a winner. And still to come, Gillian Donaldson with today's weather and weekend forecast. And Canberra comes of age with its own theatre company.
60s gave us some fabulous love songs. Now Concepts put them all together on one album simply called Groovy Kind of Love Songs. The Big O. Only the lonely. Cilla Black's huge hit. The classic from the Walker Brothers. And the original from the Mindbenders. Groovy Kind of Love Songs from the 60s. 18 fabulous love songs that touched the hearts of millions. Here's Peter and Gordon.
I don't care what they say, I won't stay in a world without love.
The Righteous Brothers' Unchained Melody.
Oh, my Lord.
Gene Pitney. And Dusty Springfield's. What a fabulous album. Groovy Kind of Love Songs from the 60s. A groovy album out now from Concept.
What if it doesn't go?
She'll go. Here's why.
So a fire engine's got to have the most reliable battery you can get.
Gotta go first go, every go.
And what sort of battery do you use, sir?
New Century in my car, too. Gotta go.
Century's reliable, then?
Damn it all!
So, you'd recommend Century, then?
Century. When it's gotta go, first go.
That is a sweet tune, Sol. That's my daughter's car. Daughter's? She uses Castrol GTX? No, boss. No? She uses GTX too. You mean GTX as well? No, boss. GTX 2. Young persons only want the latest. GTX 2 is improved, maximizes engine protection, because Castrol's the oil specialist. That was a close one, Sol.
Improved Castrol GTX 2.
Oils ain't oils. Goils ain't goils.
Good evening and welcome to Week Television's very first weather report. I was hoping to forecast a great weekend for you, but at least it's mild and dry in the studio.
Today in Canberra it was cloudy and wet with moderate to occasionally fresh southeast to northeast winds. Canberra's temperature to 3 p.m. this afternoon was a recorded minimum overnight of 14 and a maximum today of 17. In the surrounding areas of New South Wales and the southern Tablelands there was a sheep grazies alert and a road weather alert was current. At least those house tanks will be full. Goulburn recorded a top of 17, Yass 19 and Cooma 15. In the Snowy Mountains it was overcast with Perisher Valley recording a low of 7 and up to a top of just 9. For the Illawarra and South Coast today, a strong wind warning as a current northeasterly at 20 to 30 knots, seas 2 to 3 metres and a 2 metre swell was recorded. Conditions were wet with poor visibility. Nowra recorded 22, the Gong 22 and Bega 21. The rainfall for Canberra today to 3 p.m. was 13 millimetres. Canberra tomorrow will be cloudy to overcast with a chance of thunderstorms and a minimum forecast of 13 to a maximum of 19. Winds on Canberra's lakes will be southeast to northeast, are wet but sailable 20 to 30 kilometres per hour. The probability of rain in Canberra will be 70%, clearing to a warm, mostly fine Sunday. And the southern Tablelands over the weekend, a fewer showers are forecast, contracting east to mild to warm days. Cooma 16, Goulburn 17. Have a great weekend. School on Monday for the kids. And for the visitors to Canberra capital, have a safe trip home. Over to you, Peter.
Thank you, Gillian. If the arts and entertainment are the indicators of the maturity of a city, then Canberra has come of age, not only with 2 new television stations, but its own theatre company. Today, actor Ruth Cracknell and the Minister for the Arts, Clyde Holding, gave their blessings to Canberra Theatre Company's first subscription season.
Theatre is Let Yourself Go, and with 5 plays on offer and the best of Canberra's theatrical crowd involved, success for the new company seems guaranteed. The company is based at the Playhouse and the season opens on the 22nd of April with Australian playwright Stephen Sewell's political drama Hate. Ruth Cracknell welcomed the formation of the theatre.
It's time, absolutely, that Canberra had its own theatre. It is a city.
The company was formed late last year to present Canberra audiences with top-quality professional theatre. Casterly Spurgeon, Win News.
And that ends tonight's news from the news team. Have a pleasant night. Good night.